wanted to compete against the best, and that's why I came to America. I was born in what's now in Pakistan. It's called Sheikhupura, but it doesn't matter. And India got its independence in 1947, and it was divided into two countries. I was almost 3 at the time of independence. We call it partition because India was partitioned into two parts, Pakistan one, India other. So we were stuck on the wrong side of the border. About 6 weeks after independence, 4 to 6 weeks after, independence was August 15th. So sometimes in September, neighbors came to us and said, we're getting mobs from the other areas, and they are destroying all Hindu families. There were people who came to you and said, change your religion, or we're going to kill you. They wanted everyone to convert to Muslim, so you better leave. So the whole village, whatever the Hindus' families were, they decided to leave. Then my first recollection is I had a jacket on, narrow jacket, small size, whatever. And my father had hid $5 in my pocket. Next thing I remember is railroad tracks. My parents come to the platform and find this empty compartment, and they're thrilled. I mean, people are riding on top of the train, literally. Anyways, so they ran into it, and the train started. One problem, it was Pakistani military. Luckily, within 5 minutes, the train stopped because they had a red signal. So from there on, my parents came out and they recognized some of the neighbors, so they said, okay, throw the kid up on the train and we'll take care of him, and you get on some which way. So both my parents first hung on to the bar, the door. In India, trains are not locked or anything when they're moving, so they were hanging on the bar. Finally, my mother got the room inside. She went in, and my father traveled with just hanging there for 45 minutes. When we got off the train, the thing I remember most is the whole platform was red. People had been chopped up. So blood. $2 million, estimates are somewhere between 1 million to 2 million people died, were killed by each other, Hindus and Muslims. But beyond that, we had friends in that city, Amritsar. So my parents stayed with them, got a room. Actually, it was a pretty decent sized room. And my father got a job. After a year or so, then they moved to Delhi. And in Delhi, my father's sister used to live there. They were well off, relatively speaking, middle-class family. They had a neighbor who had a room available, literally 6 foot by 6 foot. And daytime, it was my mother's kitchen, and nighttime, it was my father's bed. He would sleep on the cot. My mother and we, 3 little ones, would slide under the bed. Didn't matter because it was a tiny place. And I remember on the wall there were 3 nails and 3 pots there. And stove was one of those, you can carry in or out. About a year or so we stayed there, and there was some empty areas. I assume city property. So my father decided to build a house there, squatters, basically. I mean, he didn't buy nothing, he just made some money a little bit and bought some bricks and started laying them out there. So essentially, we moved into that area from 6 by 6. This was a huge compared to that. I would best guess it's about 20 feet one dimension and 40 feet other dimension. So 800 square feet, it's a pretty decent size, maybe even a little bit more than that. So 2 rooms, 1 kitchen and 1 bedroom. 1 tap running water, 60 homes. And it was slow moving tap. It'll take literally 10 minutes to fill up a bucket. We had 3 sets of clothes, one in the wash, one wearing, and one for tomorrow. And frankly, didn't think we were poor because we had this 800 square foot home. And there were people who had 1/4 our size or half our size in the same neighborhood. So I really didn't think I was poor or anything. My mother got only 6 months of education because her brother quit school, and in those days girls were not allowed to go to school on their own because school was in another village. It wasn't in the same village. So she wasn't allowed to go that far by herself. So she had to quit. My mother one time was sitting with some other ladies, and they said, there's a very good school in Kashmir, but literally 7-8 miles from where we were. You should send your son there. Why? Because it's the best school. The school was Polytechnic High School. Polytechnic means they taught engineering subjects and drawings and workshop, electronics and electrical and mechanical shops and so on. So my mother would tell everybody, my son's going to go to school there and he's going to become an engineer. There was an admission test. 300 kids applied, 30 were selected. So I was one of the lucky ones. So that's how it started, that I'm going to become an engineer. And then around that time, my father's business became successful. And we suddenly moved from lower poor class to upper middle class. I mean, it was that kind of a success. So my father had gotten into a business where he'll buy the paper, cardboard, put it all together and sell notebooks. And the quality was good enough, prices were right, that we pretty much after a while had monopoly in all of North India. So that's how it started. I wanted to compete against the best, and that's why I came to America. Go back, I went to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania Carnegie Tech for my master's degree. And then for 1 year, I worked at Gulf Research and Development Company, oil company. And 2 winters were enough. And I had a friend in Los Angeles, so I decided to move to California. I was working at Natel, and I quit Natel. The president of Natel called me and said, come back, bring the company back to, the company was dying, really, for practical purposes. And he said, bring it back and we will be able to buy this division. And I said, sure, I'll come back if I can buy it. Because I had gone with the intent of starting my own business. We were able to increase the backlog to about 800,000. So that's when the management of Natel Corporation decided they didn't want to sell it anymore because the company is doing well. So I quit again. So they said, but you're the one who designed or was supposed to design all these products, so how are we going to build it? So I said, okay, I'll be fair about it. I will buy the contract from you, I'll give you 30% profit from top, and I'll take the rest of it. So I did that, made some good money, and then decided to go to India. I was there for 5-6 months. I tried to look for starting a business there. I wasn't too successful for various reasons, but most of it is Indian bureaucratic system, whatever corruptions goes on. About the same time, my ex-partner said, okay, Natel division is in trouble again. Would you be willing to come back? By that time, I had gotten married. So I said, okay, I'm going to need a job anyway, so might as well. So I took the job, and about 15 months later, we were able to acquire Natel. I enjoy doing things that others might find difficult. I got a tremendous team here now compared to what it used to be. Today's team is tremendously strong. One of the things, we haven't talked about it, but my background is a little different than most of the people who are in my position. And I have respect for these people. I recognize how hard they work. And I need to make sure they're treated with respect. That's it. The biggest thing is treat them with respect. My background is that, where I saw my parents work very hard. My mother, carrying that stupid thing on her head. It was a big pot carrying on her head for a mile and whatever water shortages. And I saw how that half lives. I grew up that. I was one of them. So I am very tough on managers, vice presidents, but I am very nice to people at lower levels. People who make good money, it's their job to make sure their life is easier. So yes, I have sympathy for them. First time my mother came to see Natal, we were not even here. We were in a small operation, I'm going to say about 15,000 square feet. My mother walked, I showed her the business operation. And she looks at me, she says, "You're never coming back, are you?"